Hi guys, yeah, I just thought I'd decide to do another video, just show what I did to my vintage Millennium Falcon. I had a lot of positive criticism about this when I did this because I actually decided to weather it. There were a few comments, some of them laughable, some of them jokeable, saying that I made it probably a bit too dirty. So what I want to do is just basically show it again and show what I've done with it and everything, because I think I didn't actually show it properly in close enough detail what I actually did. So anyway, let's get a more better look at it. I'm trying to fit it in as much as I can from what I have here. So as you can see, anyway, this is a vintage. This is a Kenner 1980 Millennium Falcon. I actually purchased this off somebody. I originally had this version before, back in, this was actually my first true Star Wars vehicle back in 1982. I got it for Christmas. My mum and dad decided to buy it for me and everything, and after I was nagging them for it and everything, so I decided to get it. I got myself, if anybody's seen my video before, I did have a TIE Fighter pilot. I talked about how it was my first action figure I ever got. It still smells the same as when I bought it. It's just like, you know, it's just one of those things, and I've got it in a TIE Interceptor, which I've still got upstairs. Only problem with that is that I've got to try to get the electric sorted. But anyway, I stupidly got conned into selling that Falcon for a measly £7 when I was at school. Yeah, and the person that I sold it to was quite hypocritical, because he was saying that he liked the effect I had. Basically, I never dusted it, I never cleaned it, I never dusted it, so it had a dusty effect. And he used to turn around and say, "Oh, how nice that is! That looks really good. I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks. I like its effect and stuff." And then, after about a week later, after he bought it for me, I went to his house, and then basically he's cleaned it. So I don't really know why somebody says, "Oh, they like the look and they like the effect of it and all," and then the next minute they've actually like sort of, you know, cleaned it up. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me. So anyway, I purchased this with the re-release of the Star Wars special editions around 1997. I decided to sort of, I think it was probably maybe around probably a couple of years before that, because the 1995 release of The Power of the Force came out, and they came out with a newer version of the Falcon which actually had the proper sounds. I mean, for example, if I press this button here, you see what I mean. You know, so this is it sounds like a bit more like a choo-choo train. Sometimes you get the proper effect, which is just a simple sound, but at the moment it seems to be like sort of making that sound. So the motor inside is probably a bit funny. But anyway, this version I purchased in 1995. I bought it off somebody. They actually had this version. They actually had two radar dishes, which was quite good. It did come with Chewie, and this version of Han Solo, I think this version was the Endor outfit that Solo had. So he had a special jacket, but I didn't get the jacket, I'm afraid. Yeah, I decided to get them on eBay. Managed to get Chewie his original gun that he used to have back then. See if I can show you that later. And I managed to get Solo the typical pistol that he's got. Anyway, so basically, as I said, anyway, I bought some labels for it as well, but they were actually Power of the Force labels. So this is why. But therefore, and they look pretty good. I didn't really need to weather it. But then the first weathering didn't go too well. It looked much worse than what it did now. You know. So basically, if I turn it around, you can take a look and see what I've done to it and everything. I really have made it look beat up and everything. As what Solo said, I have added a few modifications myself, being this is their 1980 Kenner release. The 1980 Kenner release actually had different cardboard at the back of it. It had a cardboard that actually didn't make any sense at all, really, but back then you didn't worry about that. You just wanted the vehicle, you didn't care about it. I decided by just simply printing out some images, and then using glossy printer paper, I was able to put these images up. This is actually my second attempt of this one, because the other one was a bit grainy. All the other attempts were pretty good, as you can see what I've done there. So it's just trying to simulate scenes from the Falcon. That's not really in the right place, because I think that was the hyperdrive computer and everything. You can see I've got a classic version of C-3PO and R2-D2. This version of C-3PO, his limbs came off. This was the Mark II release, so therefore basically his arms and legs just simply came off, and you got a special black bag that came with it that you could put on the back of Chewie, pretending like if Chewie was holding it. And as for R2-D2 here, I nag my folks so much about getting this because basically for the simple reason, all because he had a little sensor scope. The original one that came out didn't have a sensor scope. This one did. So therefore I nag my folks so much about getting this one because a lot of people were getting it and I didn't get it. And I've wanted it. I must have waited for about at least a good 6 weeks before I got my hands on it. And somebody specially ordered it for us. So that was really good. An excellent toy shop at the time and managed to get it for us. You know, shame that toy shop's not there anymore, but times changed. I mean, we're talking about, we're basically talking the 80s here, so this is why. So you can't expect things to be around since then. But going back inside, there were a few things missing when I purchased this. So for example, basically I had the seat and I had the seater support with the seater and cannon support, but the top part of it was sadly broken. I didn't have the arm strut or the ball here, the ball chain either. It didn't have the cannon itself. Yes, and it didn't have the ramp struts, which I actually have here. Yeah, these I actually all purchased on eBay. I had to get the cannon, the new cannon and seater support. I already had the seat, but didn't have the cannon and seater support. Had to get the arm strut with the ball and the chain, and I had to get the ramp struts as well. Basically, I think these ones, from what I know, were 3D molded. So they didn't quite fit the way they did. So I cheated a little bit and did put a bit of super glue on it just to keep them in place. You know what I mean? Because this was just coming off anyway. So I super glued that bit, but the ball still moves around. So I was quite impressed with that. The cannon piece anyway was quite good. So, you know, always did that quieter side there and then made the sound there. So I've got all that. And as I said, I had 2 radar dishes that came with that. That kept falling off, so I had to glue that. And on the cannon and on the back of the cover piece, I've actually got some false floor as well. So got some false floor that neatly fits in there. So not very easy when you've only got one hand. But anyway, so I've got the false floor. I think the Power of the Force one actually had the little icons on it, so you can actually put the figures on and stuff, but this one never had it, you know, because it was supposed to be for hiding, so you actually hid things. So if I can stand up, I can try and show you what else I've done. Yes, as I said, you see, I managed to get through eBay, I was able to get the original Chewie, supposed to be the bowcaster, but it was sort of his advanced rifle. And if you look closely in there, I don't think I can get to it, I have got a pistol for Han Solo. Don't know if you can see it, you can just vaguely see it in there. So, you know, but basically I've got a pistol for Han Solo as well. Because when I got them, never actually had any weapons at all. So the glass and everything is there. So as I said, I weathered it using an acrylic paint. The only thing is that it was my first attempt, so I wasn't really 100% certain on it. As you can see from the original colours of it, I mean, basically if you look at the cockpit itself, if I turn it around and you actually look at the cockpit itself, the colour of the cockpit was different to the rest of the ship anyway, creamy, and the same goes for the cover as well. So this is why. So therefore, at the end of the day, sort of weathering it, you know, usually to do with the sun, if you expose it to the sunlight and stuff, you get a lot of that anyway. There's one other thing I've done. I just want to, in the cockpit itself, if I can get the characters out, I added a few extra improvements to make it look better. It was just a blue background that we had of this originally. So what I did is that I basically, with a bit of ingenuity, again, glossy printer paper, printed it out, and I managed to get this. So I managed to get like extra passenger seats in the back to make it look more realistic, plus the link looks like it's going into the back, heading towards the area at the back of it. As everybody knows, the proper design of the Falcon was not like this. It was actually, all this area was actually at the front here, this part, as you can see with the Legacy Falcon that I've got here. You'll see that with the Legacy Falcon. Anybody that knows has got it, or anybody has got the incredible cross sections knows what I mean. But anyway, so that's why I've got that part here, which looks like it's going towards the cockpit, and then you've got all those other scenes. I've also decided to be a bit sneaky as well by basically adding the original, the proper engine look. Anybody knows that the 1980s Kenner version actually just had red engines here. It was completely hollow here. And then when the Power of the Force came out, they did make it blue, but it still wasn't fully accurate. This was taken from a picture from the Legacy Falcon from behind, basically, and it has that image. And again, glossy paper, glossy printer paper, and just basically print them out and then shape it, stick it stick it on there with super glue. So that's what I've done. So the same procedures with this I've done with the back area of here, and I've also done it with the cockpit as well. So I'm actually quite proud of that. So if I can fully turn it around so everybody gets a good look at everything. I was one of the fortunate ones where I actually had the full landing gear, so that was pretty good and everything. Yeah, some people would probably say it is rather dirty looking. It is very, very dirty looking. Realistically, if most ships went into space and came back down, they did look like this. I do remember when the space shuttle came down and everything, you know, it was pretty dirty because most of it was like burn from coming in, re-entry into the atmosphere. So that is something that normally does happen anyway. So the truth is that you know, I'm quite proud of it. I mean, I'm quite proud of this weathering. I mean, some people have seen it and said it's absolutely awesome. Some people said it looks like that the Falcon's temporarily gone to Dagobah and crash landed, and that's why it looks like the way that it does. So yeah, so there were some funny comments. Some people say that they just will not do this at all when it comes to this sort of, because it's a vintage Falcon basically, and because the quality of it, and if the price goes down of it, then it goes down, you know, simple as that really at the end of the day. But for me, I think it's really good. And let's just try that sound again, just to give a nice effect of it. See, it sounded like a choo-choo train. It wasn't sounding like that before, but anyway. But at the end of the day, so you have the full details, and then you put the ramp up, and put the ramp in. That's it. Everything. It's just these do decay after a while, these this landing gear and stuff. It's never really properly 100% when they're in there and everything. And then, but I had a version of C-3PO like this as well, but it had a really wonky leg. So for that reason, because it had such a wonky leg, I couldn't really use it. I ended up having to throw that leg out because it was causing so many problems. So I ended up acquiring another one. So, you know, so I decided to hold on to these characters because I feel that these characters were pretty nifty. A lot of people also didn't like this arm strut and ball chain. This is the thing that mostly disappeared with this vintage version. This is the part that always used to disappear quite a lot, you know, that people did not really like much, and some people actually threw it away, didn't understand the purpose of it really. But when it comes to classic scenes, this is what you need at the end of the day. So, you know, so this is my vintage Falcon. Yeah, I was thinking about selling it, but I'm not too sure now about it because it looks so good, you know. So there's my vintage Falcon. I'm just going to put the cover back on the top of it and everything, and then you can get to see how it really does look with the new stickers. Very impressive the way it looks from the back there. So take a good look at the back of that engine there, and that looks much better. I think that looks considerably better. Back there, then you've got the side of it there. Yeah, let's look at the front of it. Yeah, I think it's still an awesome piece. I mean, better than that Nerf release. I do have that as well, but I am very, very impressed with this whole thing, and I think it's done really, really well. Yeah, so there is my improved 80s Kenner Millennium Falcon. Okay, guys, let's see if I can get a couple more good angles from it from above. Let's take a look. Yeah, so it does look really good depending on how the lighting is. And there you have it. That's all I can say. See you later, guys. Bye.